Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. How are you? And welcome to another episode of ChatEBC, where we get to meet more of the members from the European Bridge chapter. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming one of the founding members, not only one of the founding members of the European Bridge chapter, but also the current president. So, Karsten has been a great friend of mine for many, many years. We met in Berlin at a GSEA event many, many years ago. And actually, Karsten is one of the reasons that I joined EBC in the first place. He rang me up one day and said, look, you have no choice. You have to join this chapter. And the rest is history. I had to wait a little bit. But I'm delighted that Karsten not bullied me, but convinced me and voluntold me to join the chapter. So I'm delighted to welcome Karsten to the call. So Karsten, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you, and I hope I didn't bully you. I hunted you down. I was really keen to have you with us in our chapter, and I was very happy that when you finally agreed to join us and even join my board. So I'm a
No,
happy person,
so I mean, when I say bully, I mean with love, and
of course.
making sure that I was making the right decision. That's what I really meant.
Okay, perfect.
So Carson, tell us a little bit about yourself, beyond just what we know of you as current president of EBC and one of the founding members. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What can I say? So after I finished school, I moved to Berlin. I fell in love with Berlin when I was younger, and there were two. I would say I had two visions in my head: becoming an let's see if that's the right word, investigative journalist at the Spiegel
Okay.
magazine in Germany. That was vision number one. So I studied politics at the Free University in Berlin. And the other vision was becoming an entrepreneur and starting my own companies, inspired by my uncle. And after what I was studying, I found out that there were so many smart people in the room studying with me politics, and I thought like that's a challenge. And then I thought like, yeah, starting a own company with journalism, that doesn't work. So I went to marketing, and I think marketing is an easy one. You just have to be creative and inspire companies to work with you. So I started my first marketing agency, an event and advertising agency, switched it over later to innovative media formats with Ember Media, and that's my sweet spot. So I like to invent things, and I like to invent media formats and present these to big clients, and they get inspired by that because the first one was advertising on beer mats. So we
Hmm.
printed
Yeah.
advertising on beer mats and then started with coffee to go cups and bakery bags. And now we have electric bikes with a video screen in the back and drive through German cities with it.
I think I've seen photographs on your either your LinkedIn or your Facebook page of some of those the bikes with the big screens and everything else that go around for the ambient media,
Yeah,
which is really cool.
yeah. Well, we love it, and it's something we invented here, and our clients also like it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Just you when you mentioned the beer mats, you reminded me of a kind of a famous story of an Irish playwright called Brendan Behan, who was a famous drinker.
Hmm.
And he just took a random trip to Canada. He'd never done any writing or anything in Canada, and he was interviewed by a journalist in Canada. I said, "What are you doing here? What made you come to Canada?" And he said, "I was in a bar in Dublin, and there was a beer mat for Canada Dry, the drink Canada
Hmm.
Dry, and it says drink Canada Dry. So I thought I'd try it, as in coming to Canada to drink everything. So everything was
Did
dry
it
in
work
Canada.
out
So
there? Yeah.
well, I mean, there's a lot of stories about Brendan Behan, but I mean that's one of my favorites where he just goes, "I'm going
Yeah.
to drink Canada Dry." So your business is all about marketing, and you do a lot of ambient media and a lot of really cool. I, would it be guerrilla marketing? Probably is it guerrilla marketing, or is it a form
Yeah,
of
it's
guerrilla
also what
marketing,
we
or is
do.
what
Yeah.
you do
Hmm.
different? Yeah. So
Yeah.
and
So we
have you
also
done?
spray, for example, we spray
Yeah.
motifs on the streets. We hang up signs in Germany. Some of it is in the gray zones, some is illegal, but it's okay. You know, it's about getting the attention of the people in the street and hopefully also get a smile if it's a good campaign from the clients. That's what we love. But do it a little bit differently, and I think it's something which also comes from my own character, trying to do things differently.
Trying to do things differently and having a bit of fun. I love it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a pure EO idea.
yeah. You see?
Um, so you got into this because you didn't really want to set up a business in journalism. You wanted to get into marketing. When you started with the beer mats, what was the why beer mats to start with?
It started with two friends who had a company and did it, and they separated the business, and then they asked me to go on with it. So this media idea came from friends. They started it, and for me, it was there was. So I talked to BMW, and BMW said, like, Carsten, you're an interesting person. We like, so you're creative, but we never ever put our advertising on BMS. So I was a bit frustrated. There was like 2003 or 2004, and I thought, like, I have to find something else. So I looked for new media formats, like the coffee to go cups and the bakery bags. And funnily, since now 22 years later, I never had a campaign for BMW. Worked for Mercedes, Volkswagen, Porsche, lots of companies, but BMW never gave us any
Okay,
campaign.
wow.
Yeah,
Well, I
challenge
mean,
taken.
after what'd you say, 2003 or 2004? So like 20 years
Yeah.
later, you've been in
Hmm.
business. You've worked with
Yeah.
all of the other ones. So obviously, if BMW want to work with you in the future, they're going to have to at least print one beer mat just
Hmm.
to allow you to work with them.
I see I'm getting older. We did a campaign for BMW. Just forget. We did it for
Oh, okay.
Mini, so I would count that at BMW. Yeah. So
Okay. Very good. So then with your business and your travel, I mean, you're very actively involved in EO with EBC. You're in the local chapter as well, correct? You're still in your local chapter.
I'm returning now to the Berlin chapter. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So what's on your mind at the moment? Now, not 5% stuff. This is a public video, but what's something that's occupying some of your thinking at the moment?
I think I have to say in the bridge chapter, and the bridge forum before, it's now a journey of 4 years. I'm having the best time in EO. I'm really in my sweet spot. This diversity we're having in our chapter with these
Hmm.
entrepreneurs from now 27 countries, from all over the planet, not even Europe. This is quite amazing, and I'm very happy. I feel very humbled to be the president for another year, and I think it's an experience which helps me a lot to learn from other entrepreneurs and also from totally different perspectives. People who grew up in different countries with different cultures, and sharing these experiences with me is very helpful for my journey. Um, yeah, I think that's important. And then on the business side, I would say I'm always interested in new things. So I'm always looking for new ideas which I can start. So I have the three marketing agencies at the moment, and I have a sustainable logistic company with delivering goods in Berlin. Um, and so I'm testing out stuff, looking into sustainability, looking into collaboration of human beings and entrepreneurs, and maybe somehow do something good.
Collaboration of human beings and entrepreneurs. Are entrepreneurs not human beings?
That's, that's,
We have some
uh,
psychological problems.
yeah, I would say, yeah. Sometimes we are a different kind of human beings, yeah, in a special way.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
very good. So when you're not working in your own businesses, actually, I didn't know about the logistics business. Tell me a little bit more about that. I knew about the ambient media, but what's the logistics business?
logistic is we started 1 year ago a company which is called Super Green. And Super Green
Hmm.
is delivering bio, do you say that? Bio goods, like sustainable products, also consumer products like milk and vegetables,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
from local companies to customers in Berlin. and we deliver it only with electric cargo bikes or electric trucks. So we really want to
Okay.
get the huge trucks out of the city. We want to have more bicycles and more sustainable delivery in German cities. We started in Berlin. First year is interesting, totally different story from marketing, much lower margins.
Okay.
But no, I like it. I have a very good business partner. We're working together, and we want to grow it in Germany in the next years.
And do you have like on those the electric bikes? Are they like the ambient bikes with the advertising? Like, do you have advertising on the side of it that you sell for those as you're going around, or is it a completely different fleet of vehicles?
That's the idea now that we combine it. So we will have in future a video screen on our delivery bikes, and so we
Hmm.
can combine the advertising with the logistics.
That's really cool. I remember years ago thinking that um, in Ireland anyway, all of these independent like plumbers and electrical contractors who just have plain boring vans that just have all of their stuff in the vans, that they could actually make some money on the side by having some kind of advertising because they're driving all over the city. They're
Hmm.
seen just as much as buses and advertising cars or something like
Hmm.
that. So
Yeah.
I remember thinking years ago that there's somebody's missed a trick there. But it's
Hmm.
great to see that not only are you doing it, but you're doing it in a sustainable way, which is cool.
Yeah.
Then, besides your businesses and besides EO stuff, what do you do for fun?
For fun. Oh, I love to travel, so I can combine it with my chapter experience in the Europe Bridge chapter. I love to travel. I set a new goal now to that I um, would have been in 100 countries. So I am going in April to Singapore. That will be my 75th country.
Wow.
Um, and so it's just a little goal of let's hit 100 and see how that
Hmm.
feels. And
It's a
I'm
nice
always
round figure.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then I think that there's another 90 to come or 95.
Hmm.
So I have some plans, but no, I think the going into a country I haven't been to and experience this different seas and the culture, the food and everything. I just like it. And I really like to work from while I travel. So since 7 years, I don't go to the office anymore. So I'm not an office person. I just
Hmm.
work from my home as now, or I work from hotels, restaurants. Just need internet and a laptop, and then I'm fine.
Hmm. So, on your list of countries yet to visit, where would be your top one or two, like one or two that you really want to go, but you just haven't had an opportunity yet?
I, I have to say, I don't have a ranking. It's
Okay.
actually, if I haven't been there, I'm very
Hmm.
keen to go there. If I have been there, then I'm like, yeah, it's optional. So so I plan a road trip through South America in the next years. We have another road trip we plan from go to Berlin to Tajikistan. There's a Pamir highway from -400 to 4,000 at the Afghan border. Uh, must be a beautiful spot. So the plan is to go there somewhere through Georgia,
Okay.
uh, also the east of Turkey. Then at one point, maybe someone wants to join me to drive from Berlin to Cape Town. So a lot of ideas
Oh
of
wow.
driving.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
would like to go electric driving. So that will be a
Might,
challenge, but maybe
might
possible.
be more challenging in Africa, I think,
Yeah, well,
especially going down
electricity is
through the middle.
everywhere.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
let's see.
that would
It's
be amazing. A friend of mine did a couple of these adventure rides. So you know the Ewan McGregor did this thing called the Long Way Round and the Long Way Down. I think that he
I
himself
heard it,
and
but I've
Charlie
never
Bowman
seen
they
it.
did
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
they did it on motorcycles. And a
Hmm.
friend of mine who is Canadian who lived in China, he's now in LA. He did a few of these where he went around India, he went around China, and I think he did Africa, no, South America, I think, and himself and his brother, and they did the same thing, like filming the whole thing. And it's on. I can't remember which TV network it's on, but you can see them. The whole series is really cool,
Hmm. Nice. Yeah, I
and
have to look at
he
it.
like
Yeah.
he talks a lot about it. So you could vlog your way through it and get sponsorship and do all kinds of really cool stuff.
That's the plan, yeah. Give me a few years, I'm
Okay.
working on it, yeah. And I don't want to
Okay.
go alone, I travel a lot
Yeah.
alone, but I would like to do that with a group, maybe a few cars. Also better if you have a breakdown with a car. So
Yeah.
as,
Yeah. It's
as it happened to
easier
me
to.
in Lapland with my Tesla. My Tesla stayed 4 weeks in Lapland.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and was that the cold for the electric car, or was that what was
No,
it?
I lost the bolts of my tire connection, so I just lost all the bolts. Yeah. They
Oh,
were not
wow. Okay.
properly connected to the car, and so at the
And
end
they
I had
just
one
flung out.
bolt left. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Definitely not something you want to be going on like Tesla acceleration with.
yeah, exactly. I was happy that it was very slow when I lost the last two two ones on the road.
Wow. Okay. So then, between like your traveling and your business and EO, if you weren't doing, let's say, your two businesses, your ambient media and your delivery logistics business, if you weren't doing that, what would you like to explore?
If I weren't doing what I'm doing now,
Yeah.
I
Now
don't
I know
know.
this can be a tough question for entrepreneurs sometimes who can't imagine doing anything but what they're doing right now. But is there any other business or any other industry that you'd like to explore if you weren't doing what you were doing right now?
mm, I don't know. I was just thinking about my bucket list. So on my bucket list is going into space at one point. I
Hmm.
want to fly into space. With an X-wing, I think that will be difficult, but anyway. So, but at one point, I hope that during my lifetime, I can go into space and, um, yeah, just go out there, see the Earth and everything else. Uh, sci-fi and space is something which is really um,
Hmm.
interesting for me. I don't understand it. I have no idea. I watch all the sci-fi movies and it's just incredible. The universe is just incredible, and I don't understand anything about it.
I mean, I'm always blown away when I see these statistics about actually how vast space is. And there was something that I came across recently that um, if the solar system was to be shrunk down to the size of America,
Mm.
America would be the size of a white blood cell.
Yeah,
Which
and it's
like
still
it
expanding. The universe is
and
still
yeah,
expanding, yeah, which
but
is
it's I think Neil deGrasse Tyson. I saw a thing on. He was doing something on stage where he said, "Okay, well, this is the Earth and this is the Moon to scale," and he got people to bring where they think the Moon is, and the actual distance between the Earth and the Moon in relative scale to where they were was like way off the stage and down into the audience. Like it's actually so far away that we just can't
mm,
comprehend that level. I mean, coming from Ireland, I get overwhelmed when I go to like Russia and I see how big the cities are in Russia.
mm,
So trying to understand the difference between the distance between the Earth and the Moon is just
mm,
literally astronomical. So
mm. A little frustrating is that we cannot. It seems to be at the moment we cannot travel faster than the speed of light. Maybe at one
mhm.
point, and that still takes us so long to get somewhere. So it's a little bit frustrating. So I really like
Yeah.
the interstellar version where we go into the dark holes or the wormholes, whatever, and pop out somewhere else. But that's maybe behind or after my life.
Yeah, I think even my grandchildren might not be experiencing that, but we'll
Mm.
see. So, Carson, you said you set up the business in 2003, 2004, or something like that.
2002, so I started as an entrepreneur in 1989, so a long
Okay,
time ago. But Ember Media, my oldest company, is 2002 founded.
okay. And how long have you been in EO then?
15 years, I think. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay. So
Mhm.
quite the experience.
Yeah.
And what have you've been on the local board? I'm guessing as well as the EBC board. What kind of things have you done in EO?
I think I've been at least half of my time I've been in the board, Berlin board, Bridge board. I started with Forum. They took me. So I had a bad experience that I joined EO 15 years ago. 4 months I wasn't placed in a Forum. We didn't have automatic placement as we have now in Berlin.
Hmm.
So they said, like, Karsten, you had such a bad experience. I think it's good if you become the new forum chair. And I said, okay, what's forum chair? Oh, it's a very easy one. You just have to place the people. So they
Sorry.
tricked me into that. I think forum chair um, is one of the toughest ones. Um, but it was helpful because I could talk to the people. I could see where the challenges are. I could optimize the processes. And that was the first one, forum chair for 2 years. I did uh, mentorship, strategic alliance. I did MyEO chair. I'm a big fan of MyEO. It's a lot about fun, and
Hmm.
you get really nice feedback from the people if you organize something.
Yeah.
Um, so MyEO, I can totally recommend becoming MyEO chair. It's an easy one and a nice one. Yeah, and then
If I remember correctly, you've done my EO stuff. Was it with Porsche
yeah,
or Audi where you did the track days with Porsche? You've done that more than
yeah, with
once, I
Paul
think.
in Leipzig, yeah, on the racetrack. Yeah, yeah,
That was
and
one that I really felt a lot of FOMO not being able to attend that one.
mhm. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah. So we had a lot of fun there, and I remember that people came back to me and said like, "Thanks, Carsten, for organizing that," because I think it makes a big difference if do something cool with EOers or do it with a
Hmm.
random group. And I have to say, I really like it doing with EOers because doing the breaks, doing the coffee, doing the breakfast, I can talk about my life. I can talk about business. I can do experience shares. I can use the group as telling them my challenges and get experiences back. It's uh, it's so valuable. So I rather would
Hmm.
like to do it with EOs.
So then, having spent a long time in the local chapter in Berlin chapter, then you got involved 4 years ago with EBC, the
Hmm.
European Bridge chapter. What do you think is special about EBC that drew you to going? Okay, I spent a long time in EO. Actually, this is now exciting me again, and this is now piquing a lot of my interest.
When I joined together with Zee from Portugal, and then a quarter later with Helga and Frido, we were a forum. We were 7 or 8. So every time 2 people came in or 3, we lost 3 others. So we weren't able to grow as we weren't able to start a second forum because we were always down to 7 or 8. And in the moment when we decided to become a chapter and build all the structures, we were able to grow the chapters and get more members in. We are 80 now. I think we will be soon 100 or 120. And for me, I've been in the local forum, but this diversity, as I mentioned before, is just magical. We
Hmm.
call it our secret sauce, and it's something which is if you have experienced um, this chapter and the forum with so many different people from different continents, different nations, different backgrounds. Uh, for me, I don't want to go back. It's something I'm missing, and it's something I would miss, and I really like it a lot.
So the other thing, which is I thought was standard in bridge chapters, but it's not, is this flexible forum. So mixing the forums and having different forum mates every retreat. In other bridge chapters, they operate kind of the same as a local chapter. They just meet quarterly instead. So they have the same forum who meets every quarter. Personally, I love it. And I'll be the first to admit, when I came to my first event in Albania, I was a bit hesitant about how deep will how kind of much of a connection are you really going to be able
Mm.
to get in one day. And I was blown away by how open and how vulnerable and how supportive everybody was that I actually brought two topics, thinking I'll do one topic, and actually, if it goes well, I'll have a deeper, more important topic. And I went straight to the deeper, more important topic. I felt phenomenal. Why did we in EBC? Why did we opt for that option? What was the inspiration for that? Because I think it's genius, but it's not what's common across the other bridge chapters. Why have we done that? If you can tell us a little bit about the history of that.
I don't know. I think it started maybe with a mistake. We thought it's the way everyone everyone is doing it, so we did it, and
How many
then
entrepreneurial stories started with a mistake?
yeah, or a little confusion also. Um, I don't know. It's actually when we started with the board, I thought that this is common sense. And when I talk now in the bridge chapters, and
Mm,
when I talk now to the other bridge chapters, it's they do it differently. And it's everyone within our community has to find a sweet spot. I think the members of the bridge chapter of the Europe bridge chapter are very very they like that. They like the shuffling. And I
mm-hmm,
remember when I was membership chair, I had these interviews, and then someone said like, yeah. So I tell her, yeah, we meet every quarter, different place, and then we shuffle the form. And then some prospects said like, oh, no, I don't do that. I said like, so we meet and then we shuffle. I said, yeah, I don't do this. I'm like, yeah, you don't understand. It's not an optional thing. Like we shuffle, there's not one form which doesn't shuffle. We shuffle all.
uh-huh,
And I tell you, a lot of members were scared, but when it happens, they were uh, they were so surprised how well it works to
mm-hmm,
open up in a forum with new people, like starting a new forum, and it works. It
mm,
works, and you can get really deep, although these members are new to you, because it's this trust and respect in the room, and it's a
mm-hmm,
secure place where you can share your experiences without judgment. And I think this no judgment is something I learned in the last years, especially in the Brit chapter, um, a lot better. The no judgment. I hear sometimes experiences where I'm like, oh wow, I would have never done that, or interesting story, and it's just like it is what it is. It's
mm.
no judgment. It's
I remember, I think it might have been you said it at a board meeting recently. This idea that actually we don't shuffle the forums; we're just one big forum that meet in subgroups every quarter. Like everybody is in
Mhm,
forum with each other, so we like
mhm,
even when we're having lunch or having dinner or doing something else, that's still forum. Even though you're not spending the next 2 days in the room with those people. You're in the bigger room, that really is something that you feel as part of EBC. That is something, a connection that you feel with everybody, which is amazing.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. We are chapter forum.
Hmm.
This is cool, but it's also challenging because we have the um, uh, what is called the in the forum missing the word so that nothing is leaving the room.
Oh, the
Um,
confidentiality,
yeah,
the
the
yeah, what's
confidentiality. And
said in the room
that's
is
for
said in the room.
German a
Yeah.
very difficult word to say.
Okay.
It's so that's very important that it stays in the forum, but it also stays in the chapter because
Hmm.
there we have so many experiences we're sharing, and we have to make
Yeah.
sure that everyone feels safe in the chapter. And even with shuffling forms, this works. And at the moment, I think we're doing a good job.
Hmm.
And but we always have to take a close look into it that this works and everyone feels safe. I think that's the most important thing, that everyone feels safe in our chapter.
So you were telling me a story earlier about this feeling of feeling safe that you had an experience in the last retreat. Can you share a little bit
Hmm.
about that with me again?
Yeah, I shared it in. So we just had our chapter summit in Bad Gastein in Austria. 60 entrepreneurs, 25 countries, and I woke up Thursday morning, so just before we start, and woke up at 5, and I thought like, I need my sleep. I need my sleep. You know, the chapter summit is coming. I have to perform. I'm the leader. I'm the president of the chapter. So all these thoughts didn't really help to get me back to sleep. So even worse, I wasn't able to sleep anymore. So I got up, went to the gym, thought about what I'm doing, was quite nervous the whole day, and then we started somewhere in the afternoon in the lobby of the hotel. So these 60 entrepreneurs in the room, and I decided to do it differently. So not uh, do like an actor or play something. So I decided to show myself vulnerable because I was still afraid. I was the day chair of the event, and I was uh, I was afraid that not everyone likes it, or not everyone feels comfortable, or they want to rather be in the sun, or they whatever it was. And I think in my head I had the sentence was, as a president, as a leader, you have to show your strength the whole time to lead the others. Um, and so I stepped in front of the group and said like that I'm very nervous. I'm very concerned. I didn't sleep well. I it's not my comfort zone to talk in front of 60 people. Um, and how tough it is for me, and that I have stage fright and everything. And um, funnily, it was like a little bit. I was talking to myself, so it was like I was having an inner dialogue, and the others had to listen. But I,
I mean,
uh,
that's very much a forum experience too. But anyway,
yeah, and it was a magic moment for me, I have to say, because I changed my mindset, and I felt so much better afterwards of it, and I was so until now, even 1.5 weeks later, uh, I'm much calmer, and I feel much more confidence now by just telling the people this is not my comfort zone. I'm trying. I'm getting out of my comfort zone, and yeah, feels good.
fantastic. And you were telling me that like everything, like the whole weekend, then kind of opened up for you.
It was. I was after that. I was. It was gone.
Mm.
It was gone because I knew now I do my best I can do for this group, uh, and I hope it works out. But if it doesn't, people can tell me. So I was good with myself, I would say. So I was on a better
Very
spot.
cool. Very cool. So now what I do to round off these is I have a random question generator, and then I'm going to ask you a
Hmm.
question that was asked by the previous guest for you, not knowing who was the
Perfect.
next guest. So
I'm
these
really
are
looking
just
forward to this.
this is quick fire. This is just whatever is the first thing that comes into your head.
Hmm.
Okay, it's just a way to spark some ideas. So the first question now, just after you're getting up on stage, but what's a new skill you've picked up during the past year?
Learning Spanish.
Learning Spanish.
Yeah.
What's your level of
So
Spanish? Because we can podemos hablar en español si quieres.
my level of Spanish is a lot of vocabulary in my head and not able to formulate one sentence. That's my current level, yeah, but I'm getting better.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Oh,
yeah,
we can talk about that later. That's brilliant. There's a couple of Spanish
yeah,
speakers in the group, so that's brilliant.
yeah. Please in
Um,
English.
Next question. What's a movie that significantly impacted your life?
I'm a I'm a movie lover. My grandparents had a cinema with 300 seats at the Dutch border in the
Wow.
60s. I think it's not genetic, but I'm such a big movie lover. I could uh, watch lots of movies. So I have a top 10 of movies. Um, one I would say from a perspective of filming and storytelling, my number one movie is Once Upon a Time in America. It's 3.5 hours. I could watch it also like a 5 hour version, but 3.5 hours. Great storytelling. Sergio Leone. 1984. I have a poster here in my apartment. That's my number one movie, I would say.
Oh wow, that's not one I've heard before on these lists, which is great. I'll have to I think I
Hmm.
saw that years and years and years ago,
Hmm.
but I'll have to revisit it then. Question 3: what's a goal you've set for yourself recently?
A goal. Maybe I was thinking a lot about my definition of being an entrepreneur, and maybe my
Mm-hmm.
new goal is to clarify this a little bit. I was struggling with when I left the company. Um, I was struggling with my role as an entrepreneur because I don't go to the office anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and so I have a new definition now of my entrepreneurship, and it doesn't mean that I have to be in the office. It doesn't mean that I have to um, do that. It's a different one. It's one I feel now more, which I feel better now with it.
Cool. Very cool. Question 4: what's a question you wished people would ask you more often?
Mm. It's maybe people asking me if I'm good, if I'm feeling good, because I
Mm-hmm.
am a person who is very optimistic and positive, but sometimes I'm not so good in the inside. So it would be helpful if someone
Mm-hmm.
asked, like, I really like, are you really okay, or are you just like um, showing me that you're good, but maybe in the
Mm-hmm.
inside you're not so good.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Final question, from the quickfire round. If you could spend a day in someone else's shoes, whose would they be?
Mm, I'm not too much uh, into other persons, putting other persons on a what is it pedestal or
Pedestal. Oh, yeah.
pedestal. Yeah. But I'm very inspired by Nelson Mandela, and I was able to see
Mm-hmm.
him 95 in South Africa, and I think Nelson Mandela would be someone I uh, I would like to be on a good day, on one of his good
Mm-hmm.
days, um,
Yeah.
in his shoes.
Okay. Very cool. And now the final question, which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
a question asked by a previous guest, so the last person who was on the Chat EBC. So we
Hmm.
ask the guest to ask a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest is. So this question was from Frank Gessner, who you know very well.
Hmm.
And his question is: if you would summarize your learning in life into one advice, what would it be?
One advice. Hmm. Difficult one. Thanks, Frank, for that. Um, one advice. Trust the process of life.
Cool.
Something like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
so in my head it's sometimes what am I doing, whatever. But then life just happens, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
getting calmer, and it just happens. It's so maybe it's trust in the process of life.
Trust in the
The
process of life. I
spontaneous, yeah.
love that. Yeah, yeah, I love it. Carsten, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's been great having this chat with you. Looking forward to catching up we'll be in Singapore together, and then we'll
Hmm.
be in Athens for our retreat. So looking forward to catching up. And thanks very much for joining us, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks so much, Stephen, for asking me doing this. Another thing out of my comfort zone. So you see, like I'm challenging myself.
Cool. Well, you're doing
Should
great. You
I
did great. Thanks a million.
should I ask a question for the next participant?
I will ask you once we've stopped recording. So
Ah,
there's
okay.
no heads up. So just in case the person sees it before,
Ah, okay.
so they
Ah, very
can't prepare for
smart. Okay. Thanks so much, Stephen. Yeah.
it. Okay. Thanks a
Yeah.
million.
Bye.